Welcome to my channel, The Binge Eating Therapist. I'm Sarah, former binge eater turned psychotherapist, and today I am going to talk about something that I get asked about constantly, and that is the question, is it possible to lose weight in recovery from binge eating? If you have been in the recovery space for a while, chances are you may have noticed that practitioners seem to fall into one of two camps. There are those that will say, eat a certain way, give up these foods, optimize hormones, do all of this, and you can lose weight. And there are people on the other side saying, we need to accept our bodies. Weight stigma is a real problem. And this whole message that we are more or less valuable, depending on the size of our bodies, is a deeply troubling one. So you need to let go of this idea of ever wanting to lose weight and accept yourself as you are. If I had to pick a camp, I would be veering towards the body acceptance camp. But what it seems to be is this is such a divisive issue. There's not many people in the middle trying to talk about the nuances of this, because ultimately I would like weight loss to be less important to everybody. That said, I've been working in this space long enough to know that it is so important to most people who are struggling with this problem. And some people will say, do you know what? If I can't lose weight at the end of recovery, I don't even know why I'd want to bother trying to recover. And I think this is a really important question to ask yourself. If you knew that you couldn't lose weight in recovery, is it still worth it? Coming to the question, can I lose weight and recover from binge eating? What do you think? Part of me just wants to sit here now in silence for the next 10 minutes and let you figure it out, but I won't do that to you. I'll share some thoughts. But I feel like I need to preface this by saying, I do not want people to intentionally pursue weight loss. I think it's very problematic for many people, especially those who struggle with binge eating. That said, we're talking about changing behaviors around food. So for many of you, that may impact your weight one way or another. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you've probably heard me say before, I always believed that when I stopped binge eating, the weight was just going to fall off my body. It seemed like basic maths. From the amount that I was eating to go into some kind of regular eating, it just seemed inevitable to me that that would be the outcome. And I felt like it should be my reward, right? That said, recovery for me and for many people, it took me out of binge eating, but for a long time I had a very emotional relationship with food still. It wasn't like you go from binge eating to just eating 3 square meals a day and never having to think or worry about food again. Food was still a way that I played out my emotions, and how I was eating and how I was feeling around food was normally such a clear signal to me about how I was feeling in myself and about life more generally. And it took a long time to get to this point where, for me, if I had just tried to stop emotional eating, which was what I was trying to do, I just want to try and stop myself from eating emotionally, it didn't work because I would end up in conflict. I'd be thinking, well, I shouldn't be eating this emotionally, and then I was, or I wanted to, then I'm stuck in a conflict with myself. I talk about conflict a lot. When we get in a conflict with ourselves, we're kind of in a no-win situation because we are both sides of it. So the work was not working on my relationship with food anymore. The work was working on my relationship with myself. And there was so much shame that I'd been carrying that I didn't even realize was as big as it turned out to be, because a lot of the time I didn't really acknowledge this feeling of shame and not good enough. When I released the shame, it was not about getting to a place where I was like, I realized the perfection of who I actually am, and who I am is fine. It was more a case of, yeah, I'm flawed and I get things wrong, and I've got these parts of my personality that I struggle with, and I've done these things that I really do not feel in alignment with my values, and that's okay. Not okay in the sense that it doesn't matter, but more that it doesn't mean something terrible about me as I thought it did. So when I became more comfortable with just showing up as I was, my mind became a much nicer place to reside. And when that happened, my desire to use food in order to soothe my thoughts and soothe my mind diminished and pretty much left me. For some people, focusing on trying to change the actual behavior seems to work for them. I'm going to start doing this behavior and that changes the way I feel. That's not how I'm wired. So maybe some of you are like me in the sense that I need to change the way I feel first, and then my behavior changes alongside of that. So if we go back to this idea of losing weight, if you try to say, I'm just going to eat this way around food because I've learned, or I know that if I eat this way, I lose weight. What happens when you don't want to eat that way? Most diets, in theory, they do work if you stick to them. But for most of us, or many of us, it throws us into a conflict with something. So the question is, where's the conflict? For some of you, the conflict may be biological. Your body may be more biologically resistant to releasing weight for all kinds of reasons. It's a very complex system, from the hypothalamus to our gut to our hormones, metabolism. All of this is really impacting how our bodies hold weight or release weight. Maybe the conflict for you is around your emotional relationship with food, in that food seems to provide you something that you're not able to get anywhere else in your life. You can try and get it elsewhere, or the question can be, what is it that I feel like I need? I wonder why I feel like I need to soothe myself. I wonder why it's so uncomfortable being in my own mind. Maybe the critical voice is what sets up this conflict with you, because it never feels like enough. That is a real biggie when it comes to dieting and trying to lose weight. That all or nothing thinking, we know, just throws everything out the window, because it turns into, oh, I'm being really good or I'm being really bad, or if I can't eat in this way, then why even bother trying at all? If you have a really difficult relationship with yourself and you really want weight loss, chances are you're thinking that getting the weight loss is going to improve your relationship with yourself. That doesn't seem to work for the majority of people. So the question might be, how do you improve your relationship with yourself? This might be particularly poignant for you if you're someone who feels like that you really harm yourself with food. You're telling yourself, I just need to change this behavior. But actually, if the relationship with yourself can shift to a more compassionate one, a more connected one, that's likely to have a knock-on effect on your behavior. I think it's important to mention things like stress and lack of sleep. Both of these have a really significant impact on the way that our body processes energy. And people will sometimes ask me, how do I stop eating when I'm stressed? Eating is the outcome of the stress. It's like, well, I don't want to face the thing that is causing this stress to me, or even the way that I'm speaking to myself about the thing that's compounding the stress for me. I want to let me just fix my behavior. When we go in and try and fix behavior, we go and we try and fix weight, we don't get to the stuff that really needs healing. So this question, can I lose weight and recover from binge eating? My grand conclusion is, I don't know. Everybody's unique. Your body's unique. Your circumstances are unique. Your emotional and psychological experience is also unique to you. So looking for the answer to this question outside of you probably doesn't serve you. But asking yourself that question, could it be that the pursuing weight loss is about sticking a plaster over something? What's underneath that? Why is this so important? And I know there's a lot of cultural conditioning around this and the fact we're supposed to want it. And I know that there may be health things going on for people that I'm not going to get into a haze conversation here, but health is more than just physical health. So all the things that I'm inviting you to think about and focus on first is supporting your health. Because just trying to change your health or improve your health by changing behaviors, forcing a behavioral change, which is what people try and do, and then when it doesn't work, they beat themselves up and they fall into shame holes about this stuff. So all I want for you is for you to find peace in your own skin, whatever that looks like. But thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next video.